It's so good to see everybody out there that's wanting to learn about what they want to learn about when they're going to learn what they're going to learn about.
Come on, you want to get a seat? Just come on in and get a seat. You good? Everybody good?
The edge of the knife, you can feel that burn.
There we go. Guess what your body does?
Changing the water that we're drinking, you know, not having the chlorinated tap water, and no big deal. You can do it, right? Yeah.
Alrighty, we are outside here at the Homesteading Life Conference in Hannibal, Missouri. There's not as many people here as was in the past, but there's still a lot of people here, and it's super exciting. And so many people have expressed that they really needed to be here after everything that has gone on this year. They have just so happy to be here, and are just saying that. I even heard the words, "I'm just so happy to be around people." It is so, we so need that.
And people are even talking about it's so nice to see people's faces, and you know, when you smile and you're happy and you can talk and you can understand one another, and we all just need that.
Yep, God said it's not good for man to be alone. So we're here at the Homesteading Life Conference, learning a whole bunch, seeing people we haven't seen since last year. It's like also a big reunion
It is
here.
a family reunion, so it feels like.
Great to be here. I just gave a number of talks already. Talked about how to make your garden profitable, and also talked about some other things around the homestead. We also gave a talk together with Selah, and just kind of shared our homestead journey, and I gave some people some tips on gardening, health, and just a number of things that we're interested in. And right now we're right outside the MT Knives booth, and where's my knife at? Oops, it's right here in the pocket. And this is a knife that I got from MT Knives at the Homesteading Life Conference, what, 2 years ago maybe?
Was it?
Something like that. But this is a great knife, and I use it all the time. Really good knife. And the owner, who's right over here, said he will actually sharpen my knife for me because it's needed. It's been through a lot. It's cut I don't know how many different things. So we're gonna let him sharpen. Alrighty, and here is Patrick, and he was actually dancing around in the video behind me, and I didn't even know it just now. Here he is again, dancing behind me as I'm talking. And Patrick is the owner, operator of MT Knives here. And Patrick, let me tell you, I love the knife that you got me.
Thanks,
really
man.
appreciate it. Really quality knife, and I have used it for pretty much everything, as you can probably see there, and it really needs to be sharpened.
Well, the first step in sharpening a knife is cleaning the blade. So thank you for bringing me a knife that needs cleaning.
Is there any special way of cleaning it?
You know, depending on the sharpness of the knife, you want to be careful not to cut yourself. Depending on if there's rust or something, there's some tape type substance, sticky substance, and I've found that using I use this Japanese blade oil, and it works pretty good at getting that sticky residue off of the blade. I also use a product called Flitz that works good for scrubbing if you got some rust or just a tarnished knife. So we got that fairly good. I'd probably take, if I was at home, and just scour this with some dish soap and hot soapy water.
Okay.
But then on a knife like this that's skeletonized, I like to get in here and clean out the cracks. This will help prevent, you know, dirt and rust from building up in there. There we go. Inspect the knife. See what kind of edge we have to work with, if there's any damage. This knife really does not look too beat up, so that's good.
That is good.
However, it definitely needs sharpening. If we take it and look in the sunlight here, let's see if I can get that. If you see it glistening on the edge, that's a flat spot or dull. And this knife is shiny all the way from tip to the heel of the blade. So it definitely needs sharpened.
I told you I used it.
That's good. I like to see knives that are used. Now, at this point in time is when I would typically, now you've been using this knife for a year now, and the wear on it looks great. This is XHP steel, so it holds an edge really, really well. And I know you probably have, what have you used this for?
Oh man, I've cut in all kind of things. Landscape fabric, maybe some small cords, just kind of whatever needed it.
So it's dull. It is really dull. But a lot of people would still consider this fairly sharp. All right. So we're going to start with the 60 grit belt, and we're going to establish that burr. And then we're going to go to 120, 220, and then we're going to finish with a strop, a felt belt at the end. Okay, I've started to raise a burr.
Now when you sharpen it like that, are you just flipping back and forth on each side?
Yeah, you want to kind of keep that grind centered up.
Okay.
Remove equal amounts of steel from both sides of the blade. If you did get the grind off-centered, it doesn't affect the cutting performance as much as a blade that's sharpened more on one side or the other will pull in the cut. But you can chisel sharpen a knife, and that's where you would just sharpen one side of the blade. And when you cut with that, it's gonna want to curve towards the non-beveled side. All right, 60.
So what type of grits do you use for your sharpening there?
I start with 60, I go to 120, and then 220. Some especially new sharpeners will sharpen to 400 or 600 and get a nice mirror polish. But stopping about 220 keeps you a nice toothy edge, and it's not going to allow things to slide out as you're trying to cut with it. It's just a really good multi-purpose edge. You really only want to move as much steel as you need and no more, so that you extend the life of the blade as well. Now I'm actually going to stop and move my table out. Better light you have, better for sharpening. Now you can see that burr pop up. Watch right at the edge. See that burr pop up? See how it glistens? See, the burr stopped about right there.
Okay.
You can watch that come all the way. We'll go this way. So I'm looking for that burr to be as consistent and smooth as possible. You want to stop. You want to take that burr right up to the tip and stop, and it gives you a nice pointy edge. All right, 220.
So for someone new to sharpening, what would you suggest for them as far as the setup for sharpening their tools?
Well, I have a DVD called Beyond Razor Sharp, and in the DVD I cover everything you need to know about sharpening. And what I would suggest to start with is a 1,000 grit Japanese Waterstone and a 6,000 grit. And those are going to be the two stones that you primarily need.
And you can get that on your website?
Yeah,
Okay.
mtknives.net.
Yep, and I'll leave that link in the show notes below, so make sure you check that out. So why would this sharpening be better this way opposed to using something like a grinder or something like some people do?
Waterstone sharpening or like the belt sharpening?
Yeah, versus using like a grinder or something more rough.
I'm constantly, there's two things. You want to avoid heat building up in the blade, so I constantly use fresh belts, and this is a low speed. Plus it's a longer belt. It gives that belt more time to cool off as you're sharpening. So all these things are going to give you a better edge. If I took this thing to like a bench grinder, it's going to overheat just the very edge of that knife, and the very edge of that knife becomes brittle. And we're talking, you know, microscopic edge damage, not necessarily. So this blade doesn't have to all overheat. If the very edge overheats, that's the most important part.
And if you're buying a quality tool or knife, that's something you definitely want to keep in mind because it's going to help your tool to last longer, right?
Yeah, prolong the life of the knife. Obviously, the more you paid for the knife, the more that you grind it away or get rid of it, the more money you're wasting. This is just some white buffing compound in a felt belt. And you can over strop or over buff an edge and actually, you know, round off your edge. We're just trying to remove the burr. So I'm watching the edge and you'll see, I see little spots where that burr's glistening. It's still hanging on there. And I just go until it no longer is there. All right, that's it. I always suggest that people learn how to sharpen by hand first, because a machine will sharpen knives faster, but it'll also screw them up faster. So the things that you'll learn sharpening by hand on a stone is going to directly correlate to the machine. All right, I'm just cleaning off that buffing compound. Now let's see how she does.
Oh wow.
Won't miss a beat.
Here we go. Awesome.
That's sharp. Now it's
ready for action
that's
again.
Fit farmer sharp. So we'll get you a new sheath here. These older sheaths, the hardware tend to rust a little bit with sweat and stuff like that. And then I've changed the profile of the sheath, which allows you to get a better grip on the knife, and you can use your thumb to release it. It's also changed up the retention point to out here on the blade instead of in the center of the knife, which you can see was causing a little bit of wear on the middle of the blade.
Awesome.
There you go.
A lot of people don't actually know how to take these out of the sheath very well, so you were just demonstrating the proper way to do it. Can you show that again and why that's important?
So when it's on your neck, you don't want to grab the sheath to pull it out. I mean, obviously there's a cutting hazard there. And being able to push off with your thumb, you don't have to pull on your neck. I've got these set to around 8 pounds, 8 to 12 pounds of pressure to pull them out. You want them secure enough that they're not going to come out if you jump down off a sudden, that jarring.
Yeah.
Or if a kid grabs it, you know, it just isn't going to easily come out.
Yeah, that's right.
So be safe with them.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
So, and you have a number of different knives that you offer on your website as well for if people want to check them out?
I have, yes, that's the Genesis neck knife. That is the Gen 1 XHP steel. It's the premium steel. I also have a Gen 2 that's a more affordable version of the same steel or same knife. And then I do custom knives and stuff like that as well.
Awesome. And that's on his website, so make sure you check out the show notes below for that.
Thank you, guys.